Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are here. We have waited 10 years to get Infinity War, and then they fucked us, and now we gotta wait another year, and we finally got Avengers Endgame. This movie is directed by the Russo brothers, as was Infinity War, and this is the aftermath to Infinity War. Now, I'm not going to even talk about the plot, because I don't want to say the wrong thing and get completely fucked for it, because spoiling Endgame is fucking disgusting. Don't do it. I'm serious. I got something spoiled, just some minor things, and that pissed me off. Just getting one thing, little tiny thing spoiled from the movie beforehand going to see it. So if you spoil an entire film, you're a piece of shit. So do not spoil Endgame. I'm not going to talk about any spoilers until a specific portion where I'll tell you to get the hell out of here if you don't want to see it. I don't even know if I'd be watching this video if I hadn't seen it. I would be avoiding the internet completely. But it obviously is the aftermath to Infinity War. A bunch of characters are dealing with the losses and have to pretty much just figure out what the fuck they're gonna do. And this movie was fucking awesome. As anyone would expect it to be, it is really good. Let's start off with the big thing, was 3 hours. This movie was going to be 3 hours long, and it didn't feel it. I was really happy with that. It did not feel like I was in there for 3 hours. I've seen 3 hour films before, and there's a lot of movies that go for 2 hours and felt longer than this. This movie, although could be a slower pace at times because they're doing some character stuff, I don't think it really felt slow at any point during the movie, which was phenomenal, and it builds up to specific parts in the movie going along, and it didn't feel like 3 hours. The one thing that was kind of interesting, because at some points you're like, I don't know how long I've been in here, when it, like, you know, how far along are we? I think that was kind of a weird thing, because you generally know when the first, second, and third act is going to be, but I was like, I don't know, time was irrelevant to me, so I had no idea what was going on. But this movie was really awesome. I think the main things are the characters and the story. We know these characters. We want to know what's going to happen with the story after Infinity War, and they kill both. I think they absolutely crush the story that they were given, and they absolutely crush the characters that they did. And obviously there's some slight changes to some characters, and things that I didn't necessarily thought would stick around for as long as they did, but they did, and it just makes for a fucking awesome time. Like, this is just a comic book boy's dream. Same with Infinity War, to everything, culminate with this movie. This is initially part 2 of Infinity War. We know that because of how they left Infinity War, and it just felt awesome to see this shit go down on screen, similarly to Infinity War did, and it was just, you just gotta sit there and go, how lucky am I to get to see this shit on the screen, because this is awesome, it is phenomenal, and, comic boy's dream. Now, I'm going to talk about a couple more things, not much, because I'm trying to keep it very vague, so it's hard to talk about things in extent without actually spoiling. But the two things I quickly want to talk about before getting into the spoiler portion, it is very funny, as most MCU films are, but they did do a very lighthearted approach. For the most part, there are your emotional moments that really do hit you, which is awesome. Something, I felt like I wanted to see in this movie was emotion, and we definitely got that apart. But there's also a lot of jokes in here. There is a lot of light-hearted moments, and I was actually surprised of how light-hearted they were. I was like, okay, they're doing this like this. Okay, I'm going to roll with the punches, and I did. The other thing that I want to talk about is just Thanos again. He was good. He kind of did take a step back, because as you saw, it was kind of Thanos' movie in Infinity War. This isn't Thanos' movie now. This is the Avengers and how they're going to deal with what happens to with Thanos and how he affected the entire fucking universe. So he takes a step back. He's still good, but he does take a step back. And the two minor flaws, there is a few things in the story that I suppose you can kind of tweak or nitpick at, but I'm not going to. But I would have just liked to seen, the score, and I feel like the shots in Infinity War were a bit cooler at times, and there was a bit more definitive cool things that happen. I feel like this movie very much rides on how awesome the story and the characters are to kind of get you through the rest, which is fine because they are fucking awesome. But it's not quite as cinematic as maybe I'd want it to be. Now, this is the part of the video where you get the hell out and go to click the number here if you want to get my grade. Do not watch from here on. Now, get out until the number, because there's going to be full-blown spoilers in it. Now, okay, spoilers now. Now, the things I want to start on with spoilers, the things I got spoiled. Professor Hulk was something that I got told. I read a line that literally said Professor Hulk, and this other thing, I'll get to that in a second. But Professor Hulk was the big thing I saw, and I was like, okay, kind of, a lot of people predicted it, wasn't really shocking, and he was Professor Hulk the entire movie, the first scene you see him and the last scene you see him. So he's Professor Hulk the whole time, so I wasn't too fussed about that. kind of saw that coming. They could have almost put that in the trailer and people wouldn't have been like too outraged. The other thing, the other line I read was Cap picks up Thor's hammer. And I was like, oh, fuck, okay. Does he like vision? I was thinking he visions it and just picks up and goes, here, Thor, you need this. No, this motherfucker uses this whole... He uses both at some. I thought he was going to be the Stormbreaker. He uses the original hammer. And he's like legit weapon now. So that's fucking awesome. There was a dope ass scene with those two going at it. There was a dope ass scene with him using the hammer. It's fucking awesome. And I wasn't too mad about that spoiler because I thought it was just going to be a pickup. Now, the other things I want to talk about is true blue spoilers, and that is the deaths. How it is literally changing the entire landscape of the MCU with these deaths, because you no longer have Iron Man, which was an emotional, crazy death. It made me tear up when he said, I love you 3000 to his daughter. I got really emotional there. Black Widow as well. And then Cap kind of going back, which I saw he was going to, I'm like, oh, he stayed back. And he stayed back and got old. So he's now no longer, fit to be an Avenger. Also giving Sam Falcon his Captain America shield and kind of his title. And now you have Hulk with his kind of one arm. Hawkeye definitely won't come back because he wants to be with his family as much as he can after what happened with him. And then Thor has now gone with the Guardians, which also changes the landscape of the Guardians because you have new Guardians. Because Thor's with them, I think, constantly now, who was Fat Thor, which was something I didn't expect to keep the entire film. Hopefully they're going to keep it onwards. It was fine for this movie, kind of a gimmick thing, but hopefully not. He's always not Fat Thor going onwards. As well as Gamora not knowing who the rest of the Guardians are is going to be huge. So I definitely think they changed the landscape of a lot of shit that happens in the MCU, and that was something I kind of expected out of Infinity War, but now we got it. I thought they would change some things, but they full-blown almost said bye-bye to the whole Avengers, which is fine because they've done their reign. We're going to get a new set of Avengers, hopefully. It's going to be very interesting to see what going forward because they haven't really told us what's going to happen with the new phases of the movie, which I'm very excited for. Now, other than changing the whole landscape, in the actual movie themselves, something I want to talk about with the spoilers, I didn't expect them to be so time travel heavy. I was very surprised. I actually thought they might use the quantum realm to time travel, maybe to go back and change one thing, but they were there for a whole motherfucking time. Like, they went hard on this time traveling bit, which I wasn't expecting because it's almost a time travel movie, this whole movie, which is not what I expected, but it's still a great movie. But that is where I'm going to quickly wrap up these spoilers for you guys. If you haven't seen the movie, I mean, you shouldn't have been watching that part. If you haven't seen the movie, you should be back right now. Done with spoilers. Don't panic, guys. I'm back. This movie was everything I wanted it to be. It has the right amount of emotion, the right amount of comedy, the right amount of story. It does look phenomenal. Visuals are fucking awesome, and the characters that we know and love are all are there to see us through. So this is exactly what I wanted out of this film. And of course, I'm going to give Avengers Endgame an A. Thank you guys for watching my review of Avengers Endgame. Hopefully you guys have seen it and didn't watch this spoiler portion. If you haven't, if you skipped, thank you for skipping and not completely dumping the video. I probably wouldn't have been watching this before Endgame. Very risky watching these videos because you never know what's going to happen, what kind of slip up would be. But if you did, thank you guys for watching and wanting to hear my thoughts on it before you go and see the movie. Go and see it as quick as you can because this movie is going to make a hell of a lot of money. I'm probably going to re-watch it very, very soon because it's that damn good. I honestly expect it to be my #1 film of the year. I said that at the start of the year, and I have no thoughts. There's no other reason it shouldn't be #1 other than another movie being better. It's done all it can to be the best movie of the year for me, but we'll see how far we get to when we come back at the end of this year, the start of next year, and we'll find that list. But thank you guys for watching. Never seen it before, make sure you hit the subscribe button, you give it a thumbs up. But of course, guys, have a good one.